Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC, and you know what? Despite the name, I actually don't own a console anymore. Whenever I play Overwatch, it's always on the PC, but if you do play Overwatch on console, it looks like you might be in for some good or bad news, I guess, depending on whether or not you like for the ability to use a mouse and keyboard on the console. Over on the official Blizzard forums, a question was asked about how Blizzard feels about people on console using a mouse to aim. Jeff Kaplan responded by saying, "The Overwatch team objects to the use of mouse and keyboard on console. We have contacted both first-party console manufacturers and expressed our concern about the use of mouse and keyboard and input conversion devices. We have lobbied and will continue to lobby for first-party console manufacturers to either disallow mouse and keyboard and input conversion devices or openly and easily support mouse and keyboard for all players." So it's pretty clear that Blizzard does not want console players to have the ability to use a mouse and keyboard, and there's a pretty good reason for that. A mouse is simply a better tool for aiming in first-person shooter games. And because not everybody is going to have access to that, you'll have some of them playing at a disadvantage if they still have to use a controller. Now, there are a lot of games where a controller is going to be superior, stuff like side-scrollers, third-person adventure games, and any kind of fighting game. I actually tried to use a keyboard to play Street Fighter one time, and that was just a colossal disaster. So while a controller does have advantages in some games, the thing that it really lacks is precision, and that is the sort of thing that is extremely important in first-person shooters. That's the main reason why you will almost never see a first-person shooter that allows console and PC players on the same server. I believe Microsoft actually did an experiment with that quite a few years ago for one of their Halo games. They tried mixing console players and PC players, and they found that the console players would get absolutely destroyed by PC players almost every single time. Even the average PC players were just stomping the hell out of the console players. And again, it simply has to do with the tool that you're using. If you need to dig a large hole, then you use a shovel. Sure, you could use a spoon, but it's going to take a lot longer and it's not nearly as good. It's the same thing with aiming. A controller is okay, but a mouse is better. Also, shortly after Overwatch was released, Blizzard decided to balance both PC version and the console version separately. Again, this has to do entirely with how well people are able to aim on their respective devices. If Blizzard continues to balance the console version of Overwatch for a controller, then anyone who's using a mouse and keyboard is always going to have a distinct advantage. Now, it's no secret that a lot of Grandmaster and top 500 players on console are actually using mouse and keyboard. This makes it extremely difficult for people using the controller to compete. So this is where the good news, bad news part comes into play. If you don't like the mouse and keyboard on console, I got some bad news for you, but if you like it, I got some good news. Microsoft and Sony are both trying to increase the number of players who are using a mouse and keyboard setup. As of right now, there's already a bunch of third-party devices that you can use in order to use a mouse and keyboard. Sony actually has their own device as well called the TAC Pro, which is a bundled device that has a smaller mechanical keyboard and a mouse. That's officially from Sony. Microsoft, on the other hand, doesn't have anything official yet, but just a few days ago they once again stated that they do intend to add mouse and keyboard support for the console. So while Blizzard doesn't want players using a mouse and keyboard on the console, it looks like Microsoft and Sony feel the exact opposite way. And ultimately, it's Microsoft and Sony who get to decide if a mouse is allowed to be used. I can understand Blizzard's point of view on this because it means that balancing the console version is that much more problematic when you have players using multiple kinds of input devices and one of them is significantly better at this type of game. But as I said, Blizzard is not the one that gets to decide if players can use the mouse. So, bottom line, it looks like the mouse and keyboard on consoles is here to stay. So do you play Overwatch on the console? And if you do, what do you think about the whole mouse and keyboard issue? Let me know in the comments section down below. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe because there's lots more Overwatch on the channel. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.